Hey, how's it going? Hope you're having a wonderful day. A little bit unfortunate news on this one, and gonna try to provide you guys a little bit more level-headed approach than what we've seen on the timeline. For the past 3 weeks, we've been watching the Shift Summer League, a league play where 10 teams are competing against each other twice. And we finally got through all the league play matches, 18 matches from each team, all completed. We got our top 6 teams, as you guys have seen me talk about, and we were expecting the playoffs, which were supposed to go down on Tuesday and Wednesday of this previous week. And unfortunately, that didn't happen. We found out 30 minutes before the tournament went live, an official statement came out from Shift saying, due to unforeseen circumstances, we will be suspending the playoffs until further notice. Now, the difference with this too is suspensions is it doesn't mean that it is completely canceled. It is kind of on a hiatus until they can find out what's going on. And the difficulty is a lot of the details have not really been provided. A lot of the things behind this, people don't know the specific reasoning. The only real indication that we have on the public facing side is Stizzy tweeting a money bag and then saying that it's not there. So assuming it's a financial situation, I can assume and assess that what ended up happening, and if you guys don't know the full story behind this, a media company that is owned in partnership with Oxygen Esports, it's called Quick Fix. They became the founders or the financial backing to Shift, and this is part of that collaboration. Oxygen Esports, Quick Fix Media, and Shift. League play and stuff was going, and the unfortunate thing is there is a production team, there is broadcast talent, there is admins, there is a lot of people working behind the scenes, plus the players. So what I assume happened is, from what I have heard, they ended up getting a message saying they had an urgency, like an urgent meeting. We found out some information. This is the circumstance. To my knowledge, when they brought it to the players' attention, they said we can either keep playing in it in hopes that financial stuff comes back in and then we can go as progress, or you as a team have the opportunity to say, hey, we don't want to play. To which I don't know any team that would be like, yeah, let's just hope by playing in this we get paid eventually. It's not going to be the case. The other side of that is if that finance isn't there, I don't know a single production team that would agree to do that. It is not a good idea ethically. Plus, then you're going to have to go through a legal process, small claims court, all the other kind of nonsense that goes on. The production partner behind this is Gummer Media Group, and I know for a fact that they have contracts and stuff in place to make sure that they do get paid, which is contrary to some of the public conversations that have been going on. The other thing that I want to talk about this is, surprisingly enough, there was a tweet by the director of partnerships over at Oxygen at one point, very early on into the broadcast. If you guys didn't see this, and this is someone I know personally, I love and adore this person, and it sounds like everybody behind the scenes at Oxygen is trying to make things right and try to figure out the situation. The difficulty is people are speculating and kind of things are snowballing out of control because we don't know the details. But the event was announced on June 7th, and on the 11th of July, so about a month later, the director of partnerships, the person who's trying to bring in sponsorships for Oxygen stuff, said, hey, I don't typically tweet stuff, but one of our sponsors dropped last second for the Shift Summer League. If your brand or company wants to take part in the largest off-season Rocket League competition, only Rocket League off-season competition at this point, hit me up in the DMs and stuff. They have some pretty lofty trajectory and some ambitions for what the viewership is going to be. I can tell you it never even got remotely close to 15K concurrent. That is their expectations on stuff in the past, and obviously they want to have lofty ambitions when trying to sell it to people. But we haven't come close to that. But the thing that I'm worried about, and I'm not saying this is the case, but if in July they lost one of their premier sponsors and then they still operated the tournament without having any partnership or sponsorship backing to help alleviate these costs, and then we're hoping to just have the situation remedy itself now in August, a month later, shame on Oxygen. Not saying that's the case, but if it is and people find that out, they're going to be livid, rightfully so. They should have pulled the plug earlier and not try to buy time as people were doing stuff for free. Not the way that you can operate. Not saying that's the case. On the other side of things too, one of the admins and one of the people behind the scenes said, for transparency, we admins were promised to be paid for working this event. We only found out today along with Shift that Oxygen is refusing to pay us, which also I don't think is true. Cavallo, who is a director of talent over at Clover represents a lot of the players and stuff, saying that, the account of what has happened greatly differs with my meetings with Oxygen today. So again, what Luke is saying, I don't know if this is just kind of his response to things of, hey, we're in a complicated situation, and now he's like, gosh, no, we're not getting paid, I'm upset kind of thing. And you can even see that from Jayski, who does a lot of the graphics and design stuff for Shift. He also works on their operations side. He's saying, hey, please avoid the witch hunt and stuff for all these people. It's not, it is above us. And the thing that I think provides the most insight is, being transparent would be great. But he's like, even we are waiting on answers. We don't know what exactly happened. Our parent company said that, hey, the funding or something, like Oxygen probably found up some news, or Quick Fix Media, or whoever it is that is behind this, basically found out news about some financial situations. And they came in and were like, hey, we got to pull the plug on this. We can't move forward, which is unfortunate because you're already talking numerous days for both NA and EU productions that need to be paid for, which Oxygen is likely at this point going to have to do out of their own pocket. Goomer and those guys are going to get paid. Goomer, I always say his name wrong, but those guys are going to be compensated in some capacity because I know the way they operate. I have hired that production team myself for events. They operate a very tight ship. People will be compensated unless Oxygen wants to go through another G1 debacle, which I don't think they're going to do based upon the lofty ambitions they have, the teams that they're involved with. They've got franchises in Call of Duty and Valorant and everything else. They've got the money. The backing from Murph and Adam and the rest of the operations team there is pretty high level. So I don't foresee that being an issue. It's just usually you want to have partnerships and stuff like that come in and alleviate that financial burden. Overall, I think the situation kind of tells the story about esports. I try to, and I'm not saying I'm perfect, but when I try to run an event, I make sure that the money is in the bank account first. So as soon as stuff is done, net 30, it's paid out through payroll. Everybody's done. Everybody's equal. And I think it's really unfortunate because of the after effect that this tournament can have. Again, we don't know if it's going to continue. We don't know what the situation is. We don't know the specifics. And we might never find out. We might not know specifically what happened as to why they had to put this on a hiatus or a pause type mentality, which is kind of the way it goes. Sometimes we just don't get to find out. I want people to continue to be vocal if they are not being paid, if they're not being compensated, because they do need to hold these people accountable. This is not acceptable. It should not be allowed. People shouldn't be able to get away with it. Insert Jesse Pinkman meme from Breaking Bad. But like, that stuff should not be allowed, and these people shouldn't be allowed to continue to operate and do what they do. Now, for more of a generalization or more of an open-ended kind of conversation of things, the difficulty on this regard is that it is a really bad look for the Rocket League tournament community ran type ecosystem. When you have a organizer who is new, by all means, Shift has, there's members of Shift and the people that are being hired as contractors to run this have definitely ran many of Rocket League tournaments. But when you as a developer of Epic are basically putting your seal of approval and saying, hey, community guidelines state you can only spend $50,000. And I can guarantee you between the $40,000 prize pool, production for numerous days, admin, staffing, casters, so on, they have well exceeded $50K on this project. Prize pool being a large portion of that. So because of that, they have to get approval from Psyonix. Psyonix has to say, hey, you're without the community guidelines. We're going to give you the A-OK. We're not going to shut you down because we own the IP. Because of that, Psyonix is taking a risk. This is indirectly affecting the vision or the mentality or the way that Epic is viewed on more of a broad scale. So when they take a risk and then this organizer who they gave that approval to doesn't fulfill it, for whatever it may be, we don't know the specifics, that's when we start to see less and less likely chances that Epic is going to be willing to give that seal of approval or push those things forward and give them the A-OK to go and run that event, which affects everybody. It affects all these other organizers that may be untrusted or don't have that proof of concept to move forward, which then affects the players getting more opportunities, especially with the way that the system is right now for the format for RLCS. You're talking about commentators getting less opportunities during the offseason. You've got admins, production, people that are trying to make this whole esports thing continue, all suffer from it. So it may not seem like a very straightforward, like, whoever like funding partner behind, you suck, we're mad at you. But like pulling it 30 minutes beforehand, yeah, it sucks. But I'd much rather have them pull the plug than promise another, like, imagine if they start playing payoffs and now they can't pay out. They can't pay the 20K. A lot worse. Yeah, it sucks. Yes, everybody's upset about it, but there's a lot of things that go into making this stuff happen. And sometimes esports goes and you see a bunch of people pull out or something. Again, it's very difficult without knowing what is happening. My assumption is one of the financial partners decided to either dip or do something, even though contractually things should be firm handshake locked in place. Whether that's the case or not, I don't know. But yeah, it's really tough to see, and it really sucks. Hopefully more details come out soon. Hopefully we get more information about the specifics. I have some context. I have reached out to my buddy Dylan and seeing if he will divulge any information or see if they can get a comment from Oxygen. And when that information happens, you best believe we'll be making a video on it. So if you guys want to make sure you don't miss out on that stuff, like, subscribe to the channel. It helps me out greatly. And we'll see you in the next video. Peace.